in terms of real purchasing power for your portfolio.
For thousands of years, people have liked gold, and people still seem to like gold. Prices of gold are going up. Why are people so interested in owning gold in a time like this?
As they say, since 1750, 80% of the world's monies have disappeared, and all of those that existed have been greatly devalued. That's one of the reasons that gold is a storehold of wealth and has been for a long time. And there's a saying that gold is the only asset that you can have that's not somebody else's liability. And what they mean by that is that you don't have to receive money from somebody else. In the world that we're now in, and we're seeing it internationally, there's a worry about sanctions. There's a worry about taking gold. Those holders, central banks around the world, are concerned about the possibility that, let's say, what happened to Russia could happen to them, and so on. So there's a diversification of that. And it creates a dynamic in and of itself, because what happens is if they are switching, and they are switching, to gold away from bonds and so on, then that has the effect of not only making our supply-demand balance that we're talking about the new deficit, it means that you can have the selling of gold, which makes that supply-demand balance worse.
Now, it used to be the case that the U.S. dollar was backed by gold, and the U.S. government said, if you don't like these pieces of paper, we'll give you gold. And ultimately, we ended that. We're never going to go back to that, presumably, right?
You know, probably, presumably, that's right. But not if you watch these these cycles, that because you have the devaluation, then people don't have confidence in the fiat system over a period of time. And through history, they've, at that point, the way that works is you print all this money, then you pay the debt with the cheap money, but nobody wants to hold it, so then they go back and link it again. It is conceivable that you can see a relinking of gold to money, but that's way in the future.
All right. Since the beginning of this year, the dollar against the basket of currencies is down about 10% in value. And many people are worried that they might continue that way, be devalued. Some people say it's not a bad thing because we can buy we can sell things more cheaply overseas and increase our exports. But if people are worried about the dollar going down in value, what would you suggest they do? Buy other currencies or go buy things that are not dollar denominated?
I think the picture would be some version, their concern, would be some version very similar to the 70s you just talked about. I remember I was clerking on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange on August 15th, 1971, and that is when Richard Nixon got on the television, and he said in his polite way, this was a wonderful move, but the money that you thought you had, the gold was money, and what at the time people thought were the money that we're used to, they would say are like checks in the checkbook. They said, you're not going to get your money, you can keep the checks. At that point, then we began the 70s. And the 70s was a period in which there was both stagflation. The thing that we have to worry about is a stagflationary environment because all the currencies went down. So when you were looking at diversification, the problems that we're talking about are not just American problems. We have a significant problem. But they're European problems. They're Japanese problems. There's Chinese problems. We've lived on promises to be able to take that dead asset and convert it into money. And now there's not enough money to go around. So I would say that when you ask the question, would I devalue in relationship to other currencies? Probably. But the other currencies won't want much of an appreciation. And so that's why I'm saying that something like gold will be the better performing currency.
Some people